3,117 days since Richard, oh, and it is exactly 12 o'clock. I'm looking at the time. Um, since Richard was forcibly removed from his barracks room there at Fort Bliss in El Paso, Texas, and taken down to the arms room. It's a soundproof room. It was in the basement. That's the crime scene. That's where they took his life. That's where they stole his body. That's where they trafficked his body to Juarez, Mexico for disposal. And it's an act of war. It's a total act of war because he was a whistleblower. He was a whistleblower for President Trump, really, because he was reporting on how the military was involved in an illegal rogue operation um, uh, called the Walmart mass shooting, to divert attention from the audits that were going on at the time, we believe, and because of our meetings with generals and others, that it was because of Richard's whistleblower reports that there was investigations and audits going on at the time, and they needed to divert attention from that and at the same time try to take the White House, and so try to tamper with the election. Well, they didn't try to tamper, they did tamper. They tampered with the election with this Walmart mass shooting by weaponizing it in a false narrative against President Trump. And it was absolutely a false narrative because now we know, because evidence confirms it, that it was an orchestrated mass shooting and the crime scene was tampered with. There's no doubt in my mind about that because the evidence is clear. The evidence shows that that's what happened. And we have Michael Mayella still working in the FBI field office right there in El Paso. And he's the brother-in-law of Patrick Crucius, Pat C., the alleged shooter. Um, that the level of crimes here that they did using Patrick Crucius and not giving us the bio, the family bio of him, being severely autistic, beating his head on the concrete, failing kindergarten, not being able to tie his own shoes, absolutely not having the ability to carry out this kind of mass shooting alone. And of course, the reports of the M4s there in the hands of a group that were all dressed in black in the mall area, and then the witness for that. And there's another witness for that, but the witness for that is now he was also found not alive in his barracks room there on Fort Bliss, and just that even happened on Fort Bliss is tells you that something is very, very wrong. I'm trying to get on here because there's just so much news. There it is. Thank you, Laura, for coming on. So Richard absolutely knew that the Walmart mass shooting was orchestrated. Uh, this is very, very important information when it comes to our son's case. Very important because it really lays out all the motives for why they had to take Richard's life. He was a whistleblower that was reporting this weaponization of our military, weaponization of our agencies and our institutions. And these agencies and institutions were not just weaponized on our side, they were weaponized in Chihuahua on the Mexican side. And that's why this is the same team. This is the same group. They have been colluding together, conspiring together, making treasonous treaties together, making unlawful agreements with each other. Um, these are uh, reciprocal. Uh, let's just say that the border is the largest alliance of cartel. The El Paso Cartel in alliance with the El Chapo Sinaloa Cartel in alliance, both of them in alliance with the CJNG Cartel, all of them in alliance with the Juarez Cartel. And you also have the La Linea. The La Linea are the very, the executioners, right? The executioners. So they're all in alliance together, and they formed a lot of business agreements, a lot of treasonous treaties at very high levels, and so much so that they built up a $1.27 billion surveillance uh, network. It's called something else. I need to, in Spanish, it sounds better. But it is a surveillance network there in Mexico along our border, including a 20-foot tower called Torre Centinela that is pointed straight at Fort Bliss. And uh, on the 18th floor, we're told that was supposed to be the office space for the CIA double agents, for the FBI double agents. And these are unauthorized, illegal double agents, okay? These are not legal double agents. They're not like undercover kind of double agents. Uh, this is an illegal, I mean, because how could it be anything else? How could it be anything else? Because then you're saying that at the very highest levels, they want to take down both the countries. I mean, that's the only option. But I want to put that in there because, uh, the planning that they did was so extreme, uh, extreme treason and breach of our own privacy. Because when they use the Pegasus software in their surveillance network using AI, nobody has privacy. Nobody. They can listen to everything and collect it and organize it, and they can weaponize it against anybody. And this is why it's so dangerous, because we know that they are weaponizing their positions. And so they can't be trusted with with our security, right? They can't be. And look what happened to Richard. And you can see the silence is deafening, but it's speaking a thousand words and more. It's telling us the whole story. Um, that we are absolutely right about what we're saying. That this was like a soft coup, especially of Mexico, and then acting like it's a soft coup for the United States, just uh, illegally accessing and giving access um, of our federal uh, databases and agencies and everything, even our agents, even though those agents are double agents, like Alejandra de la Vega, a double agent. Um, and that's why this is so important to follow through. And I was sent uh, the police car in New York City because we have a viral post out that is about the agreement that Chihuahua has with New York City Police Department and our New York Police Department. And it's very clear that it's on the website. You know, there's not any doubt that they made an agreement with the New York Police Department that Chihuahua, a narco state, and that New York made an agreement with a narco state. Okay. Um, it's very, very illegal. And then to wear the decals on the vehicles, and the one vehicle that was sent to us, um, and it's on the Facebook feed. You can see on closer look, when you look at it closer, it does look like it's tampered with. We ran it through AI. The picture is a real picture, but they did tamper with it. And so, but that doesn't change anything because you can't say that the agreement is photoshopped. The agreement is real. The reciprocal agreement is real. And just because there's a photoshopped image, it wasn't AI, okay? But that it's a photoshopped image, uh, you know, who cares when it tells you that there is the main message that you can't get diverted from is that they made an illegal, unconstitutional, a treasonous agreement with New York Police Department. And this shows you that they were superseding the federal government. They were superseding the federal government, which makes it like a coup, right? It's like they're acting like um, that they are the federal government, and yet they're not. Uh, Absolutely not. They're cartel. They're a major cartel. And that's, they want access. They want the visas. They want the ability to buy property. So they want the bank accounts. They want the mailing addresses. They want the car registrations, the driver's licenses. And then they can buy, invest, and wreak havoc absolutely with their criminal activities. So, yeah, I see a comment here. Let me go to it. You have no idea what you're talking about. The city of Chihuahua sent officers to attend training at New York Police Department. Moreover, New York Police Department kindly donated used retired equipment to the municipality of Chihuahua. Why? Chihuahua should be able to afford their own brand new equipment when they spend 1.27 billion on a surveillance network along the border. Okay, 1.27 billion, and they are stealing the embezzlement amounts of money that Chihuahua took from the people under the pan party of Maru Campos is a total disgrace. It is, you know, and I don't want to say those things because I'm not from Chihuahua. The Chihuahuan people need to say those things, but the problem is the very people that did all that are the people that are part of the group that um, took my son's life. Okay, that's why this is important and tampered with our investigation over there, lied to our faces. Um, yeah, that's why this is personal for us. And I'm sure there's a lot of Chihuahuan people that feel that have huge reasons to feel it personal to them also. So I don't think you know what you're talking about because the amounts of money that Cesar Duarte's embezzled, that's why he's in prison. And the secret payroll, right? How much money went to the CIA agents? How much money went to FBI agents? Because we know, I know, because I talked personally to the State Department contact, and he made a boo-boo. He actually talked to me, and he revealed a lot of things. And those things are that the FBI were working over in Chihuahua, okay? That they were working over in Chihuahua, and that was years ago. And I've said that for a long time, that we have evidence that backed up Nadal Baim saying that FBI were in Chihuahua finding our son's remains, our son's dismembered remains. And this has been going on for years. So this whole New York Police Department, for you to make it innocent, it's not innocent at all. It is totally criminal. And it would not even surprise me, because I think they need to investigate um what did they really get for it, because Chihuahua is a confirmed, and I don't get any pleasure in saying this, because I was born in right in New Mexico, at White Sands, New Mexico. I used to go over to Chihuahua all the time when I was a kid. I had some Mexicans. I had very white hair as a child. I'm very blonde. And I had some Mexicans always when I went to Chihuahua that wanted a strand of my hair. All right. So I know Chihuahua. I know Chihuahua. I used to love going over there all the time. And this is in the 70s, right? In the 70s and the 80s. And what they've done to it is absolutely, so sad. It's heartbreaking. It is so heartbreaking. And a lot of damage has been done under Maru Campos, the Pan Party. Absolutely. They have embezzled so much money. It's just disgusting. And then they use it to build up a surveillance network so that they can traffic at will, do all their cartel evil business. And if there's a whistleblower, they can treat them like they treated Richard, with the dismemberment and disposal in a filthy, unregulated, rat infested, no potable water, no air condition. Just let the bodies, you know, fester there, pile up, over 400 bodies. You agree with that? And that was Maru Campos's mother. That was Maru Campos. That was Rafael Arellano Caron and his family, totally tied to the Purchase funeral homes and the funeral home fraud. Is that the world you want to live in? I don't want to live in that kind of world. And that's what they've done. And that's why this is treason, because she made the agreement with Governor Abbott. He needs to be tried for treason also, because they didn't even consider the federal government, who is the ones that are supposed to make those border decisions and the decisions on giving access to federal databases, federal files, which they tampered with. We know they tampered 100% with the federal case of our son. That's why this is personal. You've got a whistleblower, beautiful young man, and they took his life because he was trying to be upright and decent. No, and then you want these murderers, you want these really sick embezzlers and traffickers, and 500,000 children traffic through that border. You want them to have the last say for us to just go away? No. Sorry. No. The level of evil is so great, and Maru Campos is a facilitator of that, with of course, the double agent of the El Paso Cartel, an operative of the El Paso Cartel, Alejandra de la Vega Foster. And of course, these other names that have run from her, like Haragi, Cesar Haragi, has run from her. Even the Arianos, they don't stay in Chihuahua. They go to El Paso. Why, if the Chihuahuan police are getting trained by the New York police and getting equipment from the New York police, why is Cesar Haragi so afraid to stay in Chihuahua? Because he's not afraid of the law there. He's afraid of the deals he made with the cartel that he can't deliver now. He can't deliver the cover ups like they did with our son. Don't worry about that whistleblower. Don't worry about that whistleblower. You pay me some money and I'll cover it up. Is that his playbook? Well, I know that he covered it up along with Carlos Manuel Salas, led us on goose chases, feed, say all these nice things to you like, "Oh yeah, we got it. Oh yeah, we're so sorry." We're all along they're tampering with the case, obstructing justice, and collaborating with the very people that did this to our son. No, this whole New York PD, New York PD was making an agreement with a narco state. I'm sorry. Knowing full well, you don't think they know about our son's case? They knew full well about our son's case. They know full well. I don't think, Omar, that you know what you're talking about. You can say you know what you're talking about. We've had a lot of people come up to us and say they know what they're talking about. And then we've been right. And then we've been right all along. There's double agents. There's double agents CIA, double agents in the New York Police Department, double agents in the FBI, double agents. And if there's double agents on the U.S. side, you don't think that Mario Campos's government, proven to not care about the Chihuahuan people, that they don't have double agents, that they're up to no good? You don't think that you think they're just so, they just love their job so much, and the Chihuahuan people, that they are fighting for security for the Chihuahuan people? Look, I went over there probably 3 dozen times. They don't care. All they care, she's a fentanyl governor. She's a fentanyl governor. She is the El Chapo governor. And that's not me talking. That is the evidence. And this whole thing with the CIA is not innocent. The whole thing with the FBI is not innocent. The whole thing with the United States Army and what they did is not innocent. And the New York and the DPS, sorry, the DPS is so infiltrated. It is gone, y'all. It is one big cartel uh, group, and they need to disband the Texas Rangers. Sorry, they need to disband them. You had a cartel, Gustavo Sanchez, totally directly related to Nadal Baim being assigned to our case. You don't think he's a double agent? He had the 18th floor, right? They were giving the DPS the 18th floor over there in Juarez. DPS totally compromised. And you don't think that that this common denominator, that they have this common denominator of a Mormon faction, that's not connected to the Mormon colonies in Chihuahua, and that it could be something they need to look into to see why they're double agents, that they have dual loyalties. They don't even have dual loyalties. They have one loyalty. That's why they don't have loyalties to Chihuahua or to the United States, to Mexico or to the United States. So, we've been doing this for so long, every day, day in and day out. And I can tell you that Abbott-Campos is dirty. And I can tell you that Governor Abbott is dirty. And El Paso, Montoya is dirty. He only used the name Montoya. His name is James Bonneau, but then he James Andrew Bonneau. Then he changed it to Montoya for the vote. For the vote. That's how dirty these people are. And then he didn't even install. So he tampers so he can get the vote. Then he doesn't even respect the vote enough to install properly because he could not sign the anti-bribe line. The Texas Constitution requires that you sign the anti-bribe document before you take the oath of office. You have to swear that you did not take a bribe in order to get that office. He couldn't do it. He could not do it. He did not do it. He is 2028 stamp man. He's a product of Jaime Esparza, of Ray Velarde, the attorney that the cartel always go to, and who they assigned to our son, Richard Halliday, for counterintelligence. The whole thing is a mess at the border. It's one big treasonous mess against the United States and against Mexico. And it was a cartel coup. They gathered together in alliance. They infiltrated our agencies, giving visas, licenses, bank accounts, giving them contracts, letting them run their businesses without having licenses, taking over the area. That's why the taxes are so high. That's why the embezzlement is so high. That's why the corruption is so bad. Because they don't care about either Mexico or the United States. They were trying to destroy it, get the wealth so that they could get the people in. They did it through the visas. That's why they wanted the open border. Then they can take advantage of the illegal migrants, exploit them. Some of them were even sexually exploited, like in the Soraldi case. And what did Montoya? Montoya was, he can't do anything about it. He's not even a real DA. And the judges there in the El Paso magistrate court are not even real judges because they need to be elected. According to the Texas Constitution in 2015, that court was giving full county-wide jurisdiction. And so according to the Texas Constitution, that's not me, they have to be elected because a court that has that kind of jurisdiction, full countywide jurisdiction, the judges must be elected. Not one of them that I know of, not one of them are elected. So they're all botched. So you've got a DA that's botched, you've got a court that's botched, and then you have, of course, the medical examiner earning $500,000 a year from Chihuahua. He's from Chihuahua. You think that the intelligence deals is what it stops? What about the health network? You don't think that they've made deals with the health network? Or what about all the oil theft? No, New York Police Department is not innocent. No. And Chihuahua, this agreement is not innocent. No. And it's not legal. It's not legal. And if you have no respect for legality, for validity, then there's no respect for life. None. No respect for family, no respect for the future. If there is no like awe for what is valid, try cashing in your money in a world that doesn't consider anything valid. Then you can say, oh, okay, I can just get a piece of paper and counterfeit, and they have to take it because I said so. No, it's not valid. There's no respect for life if you have no respect and honor and what am I trying? What word? I'm looking for a word. Reverence for validity. And what New York did with Chihuahua was not valid. What Marine Capt did with Governor Abbott was not valid. They have no reverence. What happened in Plenitude Crematorium was sacrilegious because they have no reverence for validity. They were working without permits, without licenses, without truth, because they would tell the families that the ground construction material in the urn was their family member. They were fraudsters. Their game is to not have anything valid, to be fraudsters, to fool people. Like that, like the image that I was given with the NYPD. People think it's so funny that they tamper with an image and can fool people and can be fraudsters because they have no reverence for what is right, what is good, what is valid. So they are absolute criminals. And they have no intention of following the laws. And what Maru Campos, saw her little pretty talk right now, which I don't think is working. I don't think it's very pretty. Saying that, she didn't know, she didn't know. She knew exactly what she was doing because she was in alliance with Alejandra de la Vega. And Alejandra de la Vega, Foster, you're going to find out more, is absolutely connected to Fort Bliss and absolutely connected to our son's unit. Our son's unit. They don't send a billionaire's lawyer to a soldier for nothing. Richard is the whistleblower. They thought they could fraudster him. But when he was holding that, my dad, he was saying, look, he was a guidon bearer, and Richard wasn't a talker. He was a listener. He listened. And they probably just thought, oh, we have so much on these soldiers. They just got so bold, and Richard's like, you guys are criminals. I'm reporting you. And he must have done it in such a super clever way. Well, it was to multiple agencies, right? It was to so many agencies he was talking to, from Child Protective Services to the White House. So I think we, and I'm sorry for going off on a tangent like this, because it really is suitable after getting, a picture that on closer look, it does look tampered. And people like to do that. They like to play fraudster. Even when it comes to something this serious. A joke is a joke. I have a sense of humor. But there's nothing funny about what the Pan Party has done to Chihuahua. And what Alejandra de la Vega has done as a double agent. The Texas Rangers, some of the most respected, sorry, they're frisky hands. They are cartel. They are, I'm sorry. We have 6 years experience with the Texas Rangers. No respect for them at all. They need to be shut down. Shut down. They are the worst. It was a Texas Ranger that investigated the Walmart mass shooting and said, so JT Juan Torres, he, can you respect him? But he did reveal that it was a staged crime scene. And then it was a Texas Ranger, Cody, right? Cody, what's his name? Cody. That was over the most decorated FBI agent El Paso history, that an El Paso police, ISD police, killed when he was unarmed. He didn't even notify him that. Let's just say that Julio Cordero was killed in a very, very suspicious way, because he was also a whistleblower. He was Poison Pawns. He was Poison Pawns 2.0. He said he had two loose ends at large. And he called the AUSA. The next thing you know, he got shot and killed. By Anthony Acuna. Yep, and that was a DPS Texas Ranger that took charge of that case and allowed that scene to be tampered, allowed that whole case to be botched. allowed the case of the most decorated FBI agent that was the investigator of Poison Ponds that had over 40 uh, corrupt institutional weaponization, corrupt officials arrested, and they couldn't even investigate his death properly. They couldn't put their best person on that. No, because their best person, the DPS, is broken. And they need to shut it down. So clearly and very respectfully, Omar, you might be not up to date. You might not be up to date, but you don't know what you're talking about. Jose Sanchez, the director, what was he doing with that woman? The woman with the whole fleet of cars, $1 million worth of cars. What do you do with all those cars? You have to upkeep them. There's unexplained wealth. And there's a lot of evidence. That whole thing is dirty. Bros Pecan, he wasn't a Texas Ranger. He was just, the highway patrolman on his way, to become a Texas Ranger, and he was just already totally corrupted, contaminated. That whole thing is contaminated, and it needs to be shut down. So, but thank you for coming on, and I hope that was helpful. And I'm not just taking, giving my opinion. We have documented it, and it is all on Facebook and, online, all documented with the receipts. Yeah, please research that a little bit. And, when it's almost 1:00 in the morning, and you see this kind of corruption, and anybody that is trying to defend this absolutely hellhole kind of corruption, where 500,000 children were trafficked. Think about all the women. And at Plenitude Crematorium, these were, there's signs of torture, and La Diabla with, targeting women that were pregnant. I mean, the level of evil, and any defense of it, it does, yeah, I control it pretty good, but it riles you up. How in the world, Omar, could you defend it? How could you defend this? And I don't care how much money. How could you defend this? And I pay you, but I'm saying, let's say someone is defending it because someone's paying them to defend it. I can tell you by the money, a lot of these people that get money that way, they have to drink their guilt away. They have to, I don't know, they have no peace. They have no peace. To defend this kind of assault on Mexico, to defend this kind of assault on the United States, to defend this kind of assault on humanity. Yeah. Run. Run. Do not defend it. Do not defend it. There needs to be accountability. It's indefensible. And it's kind of like what's going on in the United States with these, like with Cornyn, like with Massey. Massey's defending this evil all the time. Of course, he paints it with honey, but it doesn't end well. It doesn't end well at all. My grandmother used to always tell me, "Lieber keine wie so eine," which means, translated, I rather live with nothing than to have to participate in that, or to have something like that, or to do something like that. It's better to have nothing. And she was right. So, and this comes from a woman. I had the most amazing grandmother because she was so poor. She was so poor. And I know that sounds such a story, but she was like the richest woman I've ever met. I mean, the things that we did, and because she was born in the Siedlung, which is like the projects in Germany. Of course, before World War One, well, right at the start of World War One and through World War Two, and um, she knew what hard work was, and she knew what living was, and it was just amazing how much joy. Yeah, Liebe keine wie so eine. I would never defend this kind of evil. I rather, she's just a good example for me. Um, so anyway, just a little emotional today, um, because of reviewing this level of treason, um, and people wanting to defend it, and no reverence at all. No reverence for our countries. We're entering in the 250-year anniversary of our country in the United States. Um, and it's just going to be amazing. Absolutely amazing. We've got all of our celebrations planned and decorations and everything. It's just going to be so amazing. Um, and to see people not have that kind of love for their country and reverence, and because let me tell you, no country ever has been perfect, but it's your country. It's my country. And you want to make it better. And so you can't defend the evil. Nope. You got to stand against it. Fight for your country every day. Fight for it every day. And never give up. And celebrate. Work hard and celebrate too. Don't ever forget to celebrate. God gave us Sundays, right? He gave us that one day every week. The week has never been broken. The 7-day week has never been broken. Every week he says, stop, show reverence, glorify, enjoy, rest, you know? And slaves don't get that. Slaves don't get that. And these philanthropists, cartel operatives want to make us slaves. And we know that because they brag about how much money they have, and then they push the bonds so that everybody can have high taxes and, make life very, very difficult. So, anyway. Okay, thank you so much for coming on, listening. This was a very different live stream tonight. But we will be back tomorrow, God willing. And I just want to appreciate, did I read them all? All this? Yeah. Thank you, Omar, for coming on. And yeah, that made things very interesting. And I will be back tomorrow, God willing. Thank you.